Overwatch's hero roster is chock full of a variety of different heroes with different playstyles. You have your dive heroes like Tracer and Sombra, your snipers like Ashe and Widowmaker, and your oddballs like Torbjorn. One hero that stands out when it comes to playstyle is Genji. He's a bit more unique because he can be played two ways and still adds a lot of value to teamfights. He's both effective when played passively at a range and aggressively at closer ranges due to his two different fire rates and different abilities. And in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly how to play Genji. When to use your abilities, when to rush in, and what to do with his ult, because, let's face it, Blade's just kinda ehh. But first, I'm going to ask you to subscribe and leave a like on this video, as I want to continue making Overwatch 2 related content that's not only entertaining, but educational too. First things first, kit breakdown, because Genji's kit looks simple, but it actually takes a fair bit of skill to get the grasp of. He has two fire rates. In primary fire rate, he throws his shurikens one after another in a kind of burst. In the secondary fire rate, he throws 3 shurikens at a time in a wide spread. Ability 1 is dash, which, you know, it's a dash. You dash forwards with your sword and deal damage to enemies hit by it. If you kill them with the dash, then the cooldown resets and you can use it again right away. Ability 2 is deflect, which allows you to deflect any incoming projectiles. You can also deflect some enemy abilities with it like sleep dart and magnetic grenade, but that takes a fair amount of skill. My first tip for learning how to play Genji is to use your abilities sparingly. Genji gets a lot of value out of both of his abilities because not only can they flat out kill enemies sometimes, but they give him a get out of jail free card. You can use dash to get out of situations where you're in the heat of a fight to keep yourself alive, and deflect allows you to mitigate pretty much all damage. Granted, it isn't something like Moira's suck or Winston's Tesla gun. Staying alive is generally good, so you should be saving your abilities for when you absolutely have to use them or see the opportunity to do something with them. My second tip for learning how to play Genji is to position yourself accordingly to where your team is positioned, kinda grouping up with them to make sure you can secure kills. Genji can do a lot of damage by himself if played well, but it's generally better to keep with your teammates to secure the kills with him, especially now that the DPS passive exists. The burst fire shurikens constantly adding the DPS passive to enemies is what will make your team win teamfights because it makes it a hell of a lot easier to kill the entire team. But most importantly, it makes it easier to kill the tank. My third tip for learning how to play Genji is to learn what situations to use your ult, because admittedly, it is shit.
And I've got to say, in all honesty, it's the biggest piece of dog shit.
That's just a fact. Blade itself is one of the most useless ults because it's so easily shut down and doesn't do great damage without the aid of nano or damage boost from Mercy. The best situation to use Blade in is in a team fight because most of the enemy team will already be pretty low on health, so you can swoop in and secure the kills for your teammates, making it easier to secure the objective and in turn win the match. Don't feel bad if your Blade does nothing, because honestly it is ass. Don't nerf Genji, buff him. Make him like he was at the start of Overwatch 2 where he would just terrorize every lobby he was in. My fourth and final tip for learning how to play Genji is to make sure you're constantly doing aim training because it can be tricky landing shots sometimes at him. Whilst yes, you have a fire rate that's basically like firing an entire brick wall at an enemy, you're most likely only going to hit them with one of your shurikens and deal a small amount of damage to them, unless they're a tank and have a huge hitbox like Reinhardt or Hog. This spread shot is only really useful at a closer range because of how much it spreads out at a range, meaning you want to use your burst fire most of the time, but hitting most of your shots with it isn't the easiest, especially if you're like me and have terrible aim. Now, my personal favourite aim training workshop mode is VAXTA, because it's so customizable in terms of both movement and shows you little things like your accuracy and how much damage you're doing to enemies per shot. Even if you're watching this video and not thinking of picking up Genji anytime soon, you should try out this map because it's good to hop into and warm up on whilst you're queuing for matches. But that just about does it for this video. Now go out there and give Genji a go because honestly, he's really good this season. Blade is still a bit naff, but he's generally much better than he has been in the past seasons. Just remember that you can't deflect everything. Lasers are your enemy and will absolutely mess you up big time, but that's why we reserve our dash so we can get away from them. Anyways, thanks for watching. Once again, I'm going to ask you to like this video as it lets me know that you find these videos not only to be helpful, but entertaining. I'm slowly but surely getting through these guides, but I should eventually have a guide for every hero at some point this year, so stay tuned. Finally, have a nice day or night if you're watching this at night, and make sure to check out my other videos. Not only will I appreciate it, but you might too.